Jason Williams had never dreamed of working at one of the galaxy's most prestigious restaurants. In fact, as a waiter at the Star's Ember, a luxury fine dining establishment orbiting the wealthy planet of Novatera, he often felt like a small, invisible cog in a much larger machine. His job was simple: serve the elite, take their orders, and deliver food with a smile. But on the night that would change everything, Jason's life would be flipped upside down in a way he never expected. The evening began like any other. The restaurant was bustling, filled with well-dressed patrons who dined beneath the soft glow of shimmering lights that reflected off the polished chrome walls. Jason moved efficiently between the tables, balancing plates of meticulously prepared meals and engaging in light conversation with the guests. He knew that his role, though important, was one that didn't draw much attention. He was used to being overlooked in the glitzy, high-end environment. That night, however, was different. Something was off. The air felt charged with an unusual energy. Jason couldn't put his finger on it, but there was a buzz among the staff and patrons alike. The rumors floating around said that one of the wealthiest and most influential families in the galaxy, the Von Thalens, was going to make an announcement that evening. Jason didn't know the details, nor did he care. His focus was always on doing his job right, and he had enough on his plate to keep him busy. As the night wore on, Jason found himself serving a table near the private dining area where the Von Thalens had settled. He had caught a glimpse of them when they first arrived, tall, elegant, dressed in immaculate garments that shimmered like stars. The patriarch, Magnus von Thalen, was a well-known figure in the intergalactic business world, and his presence brought a certain weight to the room. The family had their own entourage, and their table was surrounded by various dignitaries and high-profile guests. Jason served the table with precision, offering them their courses with the professionalism that was expected of him. As he approached the Von Thalen table with a bottle of rare wine, something strange happened. There was a sudden hush, followed by a soft, muffled sound, a kind of chirp, or perhaps a hiss, coming from the direction of the family's private dining space. Jason turned his head to see the Von Thalen family's youngest daughter, Aurelia, standing up from her seat. She looked bewildered, her gaze fixed on something beneath the table. A collective gasp went up from the guests, and Jason felt a chill run down his spine. Aurelia lifted a small creature into her arms. It was unlike anything Jason had ever seen. Its scales shimmered in iridescent colors, shifting between gold, emerald, and crimson. It had delicate wings that fluttered nervously and tiny, glowing eyes. The creature was clearly a baby dragon, no larger than a cat, and it was breathing softly, its tiny chest rising and falling with each breath. The entire room fell silent as the reality of the situation dawned on everyone. A dragon here? In the middle of a fine dining restaurant? Jason's mind raced. Dragons were mythical creatures, thought to be extinct for centuries. How had this creature appeared here? And what was it doing at the Von Thalen table? Aurelia's eyes shone with excitement as she cradled the dragon in her arms. "It was a gift," she said, her voice laced with wonder. "A present from the stars. My father had it delivered for me." Magnus von Thalen, still seated, looked up at his daughter with a satisfied smile. "Indeed, it's a rare and precious creature. A gift like none other." Jason stood frozen, watching the unfolding scene. The guests around the room murmured in disbelief, some trying to take pictures of the dragon with their devices. But for Jason, the moment felt surreal. His gaze shifted back to the baby dragon, and it was then that he saw it. Its eyes locked onto him, and for a brief second, it seemed to study him, almost as if it recognized him. A voice pulled him from his thoughts. "Jason," a familiar voice called from behind him. He turned to see his manager, a sharp-dressed man named Victor, approaching with a hurried step. "What are you standing around for?" Get back to work. We can't afford a scene tonight. Jason nodded, moving back toward his task, but he couldn't shake the feeling that something extraordinary was happening. As the night continued, Jason tried to focus on his duties, but his mind kept returning to the baby dragon. How had it arrived? Why was it here? And what was its connection to the Von Thalen family? It wasn't long before Jason found himself alone in the kitchen, his thoughts wandering, when a strange sound came from behind him, a soft tapping. He turned, only to find the baby dragon, now seemingly abandoned by the Von Thalens, standing near the kitchen door. It looked up at him, its little body quivering as it attempted to walk toward him. Jason froze, unsure of what to do. The dragon tilted its head, letting out a small, inquisitive chirp. In that moment, Jason felt an overwhelming instinct take over. He crouched down slowly, extending his hand toward the creature. The dragon's small form hesitated for a second, before it finally nuzzled into his palm. "You're lost, aren't you?" Jason whispered, as if understanding him. The dragon gave a soft, purring sound. It was then that Jason realized the creature was in danger. The Von Thalen family, with all their power and wealth, likely didn't see the dragon as anything more than a commodity, a precious possession. But to Jason, it was a living being, and it needed to be protected. Suddenly, the door to the kitchen burst open, and Victor appeared, his eyes wide with shock. "What do you think you're doing with that thing?" he demanded, stepping forward. Jason stammered, but the dragon, sensing danger, let out a low hiss, its wings flaring slightly. Before Jason could respond, Victor moved toward the creature, trying to grab it, but the dragon lunged, its small body darting between them. "No, it's mine," Victor shouted. "You don't know what you're dealing with. That creature belongs to the Von Thalens." But the dragon didn't care for status or wealth. It cared about its safety. And as Victor reached down to grab it again, the dragon snapped, its tiny mouth sending a burst of energy that knocked him backward, sending him crashing into a stack of metal pots. Jason, still in shock, could hardly believe what he'd just witnessed. The dragon wasn't just cute, it had power. And in that moment, he knew his life was about to change forever. The dragon let out a soft trill and then flew to Jason's shoulder, nestling there as if it had chosen him as its protector. Before Jason could fully process what was happening, the Von Thalen family arrived at the kitchen door, led by Aurelia. She looked at the dragon on Jason's shoulder and gasped. "My dragon," she exclaimed, her eyes widening. "You've bonded with it." Jason shrugged, unsure of how to respond. "It came to me." Aurelia smiled, her demeanor shifting from cold to warm in an instant. "It seems it chose you," she said, walking over. "And for that, I owe you a great debt. But you have no idea the power this creature holds. It could change everything for you, for us all." Jason looked at her, the weight of the situation finally settling in. He had no idea what he was getting into, but one thing was certain. The galaxy would never be the same again. With the dragon now his companion, Jason's life would take on a whole new purpose, and the choices he made from this moment forward would ripple throughout the galaxy in ways he couldn't yet understand.